Here's an idea. You've been told you're management material, but I'm going to give you some reasons you don't want to take the job. I'm going to grab my coffee and we're going to get into it. Thank you for joining the channel Leadership with Mike. On this channel, I help managers become leaders, and I do that with no nonsense sense. If you get any value out of this video, don't be afraid to hit that like button. Okay, why you might not want to be a manager. First thing, you actually love what you do. You love the job that you have. So even if you are working as an engineer and you get promoted to be a manager of engineers, understand that your job has completely changed. So if you love what you do, if you go home feeling good, you may not want to take that manager role. Secondly, you may not want to be a manager because typically the first one to lose their jobs, management. They are a big part in growing a company, but at the same time, if there's two managers, we might have to let one go and the other one's just going to have to take on the work. Especially if it's in a unionized position, then you really have to think because you have the union protecting you based on seniority. So something to think of. You might be the first one, gone. Number 3 is you're going to be held to a different set of standards. You know your job as of right now. If you look for a promotion, if you are approached for a promotion, you have to understand that you are held to a different set of standards. I wouldn't necessarily say higher standards, they're just different. As a supervisor, you had better be the last one talking crap about your workplace. You definitely can't talk shit about the manager that you never used to like when you were an employee. A different set of standards. Employees, we like to vent. We like to talk. This guy's an idiot. If I had that job, imagine. You can't be saying that. That's now your colleague. We're all on the same team, but there's lines in the sand. Fourth reason you might not want to be a manager is there's some difficult conversations you have to have. If you are not one to confront troubles, if you are not one to have these difficult conversations, if you avoid awkward moments, you might not want to be a manager because that really could mess up your day, week, month, year. If you're having hard conversations with individuals, what if you had to lay somebody off? Imagine, and you knew their family. This is something that has to be considered when you're considering going to management. 5, you need to be able to influence people. When you're hired as an employee, you get told this is your job and this is what you need to have done. When you get flipped on to management, you could just command your employees, this is what needs to be done. But the best way is that you need to influence them. So this means you have to be able to, you have to work on your EQ, your emotional intelligence. You want to make sure that your EQ is at its peak performance level. And if it's something that you're not very EQ-ish, you may not want to be a manager because this is going to become an awkward situation or an awkward time for you. Not saying you should run from awkwardness, not saying that you can't grow. It's something that you want to consider before you make a change. Number 6 is one that some people really have a hard time swallowing. You get none of the credit as a manager. If you're a good manager, let me put that in there. If you're a good manager, you get none of the credit and you get all the blame. I say this because a bad manager will take the credit while their team's like, what? Excuse me? Yet they'll deflect all the blame to the team and the team again will be like, what happened? A good manager, when credit comes, they say, I couldn't have done it without this team here. They did this, they did that. Or this was so-and-so's idea. But when the blame comes, they step out and they take all that mess. And you're right, I should have looked into it. I should have been more specific. I should have been more informed. Afterwards, they go and tell the team that the shit kicking that they just took, but it's for a manager to take. Okay? The seventh reason you might not want to be management is management tends to take work home, both physically and emotionally. If you're a manager, there are expectations of you. It's not that you always have to take your work home, but you might be constantly getting emails. You might be sitting at the dining room table with your family and going over a problem that's happening at work, and you're not there with your family. Again, not that this is the end of the world, not that you can't figure it out. It's just something to consider. If you enjoy being home when you're home, a management position might mess that up for you. Number 8, meetings. And then meetings about the meetings. And then meeting. You get what I'm saying. There's a lot of meetings when you're a manager. And you may feel, and you might be right, a lot of them you don't even need to be at. These could have been emails. Hello. Anyway, your job as a manager is to attend meetings. Your job as a manager is to host meetings, is to plan for the meetings, is to clean up after a meeting. Like all of these meeting things now are your responsibility. So if you're not one that likes to sit down and hear people blow smoke up, well, anyway, you may not want to get into management because there's a lot of meetings. Now, if you like being in the know, if you like sharing in front of a group, that's the flip. Maybe that management is for you. The 9th reason you might not want to get into management right now is because if it's a door that's open to you now, it's safe to say that it will be open to you in the future. If it's a promotion, there's nothing wrong with saying, at the moment, this doesn't fit right for me. It doesn't fit right for my home life. It doesn't fit right, for my headspace right now. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And in the future, as long as you keep it open and you share that you are interested, but more maybe in the future, then you can grow into that position. You can spend more time learning what you need to know, spend more time trying to get a better idea about it, or just buy yourself time to really have the conversations with your family, have the conversations with yourself. Is this something I want? Now, I'm not telling you this list of why you don't want to be a manager to tell you don't do it. I'm telling you this list because it's things that you need to consider. This is a great role. It's an important role. It's something that helps you grow. But if you're not ready for it, it will sink your ship. That said, I'm going to grab my coffee and let's get into some stuff about why you want to be a manager and how to do it better.